Hi, I'm Debbie and by Storytellers, and we're on with Amit Tishler, and we're going to talk to him about comics. Um, let's roll. So Edenfrost, how did you think of the idea for Edenfrost?
For Edenfrost. So Edenfrost is a title that was published by Mad Cave Studios, and I pitched it to them, I think, at around 2022. Now, at the time, I was developing multiple concepts to pitch around to publishers and to TV networks. I originally come from animation, so I do everything across media, and comics was a very good. It's close to where I started as a 2D artist originally, and it's something that I circled back to later on in my career. I ended up, it was interesting. Like, from a creative point of view, it's something that I've wanted to do. It started from a much more simplistic story about, like a girl and a golem. I wanted to do like a war story with some like fantasy elements in it. But it was also a reaction to what is unfortunately still pretty prevalent, which is a spike in anti-Semitism, once again, in anti-Semitism narratives.
Mhm.
And a lot of things that I have to say about just the whole concept of identity and identity politics. So a lot of like emotionally driven reasons that this kind of story coalesced into what it was and why I picked, that specific time period. Because I also didn't pick like I think most people that do, it's a golem story in the end of the day. It's a very loose reimagining of it because I'm basically recreating what a golem is or rebuilding fantastical lore and magic system just for this story. But in the end, it is a golem story. And I think a lot of the tendency is to always talk about World War II as the setting for a lot of these kinds of stories. If you're
Mhm.
having like Jewish kids, and just as a, I guess, overview of what Edenfrost is, it's a story about these two kids, Alex and Yuli, who are trying to survive through the Russian Civil War using the mystical power of this unique interpretation of the golem. And it's a story about identity and about how the dangers of using identity as a weapon, right? The dangers of
Mhm.
weaponizing one's identity. Um, so that whole thing became essentially like the tool that it became, but I chose the Russian Civil War as the setting as opposed to the more, I guess, like
Mhm.
commonly used World War II one,
Mhm.
partially because I saw at the time a lot more equivalence in terms of the both political and social landscape.
Mhm.
I found a lot more in common with Russian Civil War, pre and post World War One. There was a lot more in common than we'd like to think about, and we usually just don't look at that time period. We just go for, I guess, like the well-known cliches. So it's just a bunch of things that happened together, and it ended up sticking.
Yeah, it's really, I love the originality of making it in that time period, and really relevant to today. So it's really interesting story, and really I think it's really well done.
Thank you, thank you. It's the time period is something I'm very happy that I did. I'm a big history buff, so I've
Okay.
looked for an excuse to do, like that kind of period piece for a while, and that was a great outlet for that.
Hmm.
Last Wardens, which is my second title, is also a period piece, even though it's a lot less prevalent. But I tend to do that not with every piece, but whenever I have a good excuse to do it.
That's nice. And the production is really good. The quality, the art and everything is really good on it.
Yeah, it's Mad Cave because they were the publisher. They built an entire team around the production itself.
Mm.
So the artist is Bruno Frenda, incredibly talented artist based in Italy. And I've worked with him on multiple projects afterwards just because that's how I discovered him, like
Hmm.
through Mad Cave. But their production quality is pretty incredible. I'm working with multiple publishers. They're all very good. Mad Cave's quality level is exceptional.
Huh.
Both that and their efficiency of how they work.
Now, do you work with them? Do you direct the marketing on your books?
We work together and individually. So Mad Cave has their own marketing department, and they are a pretty well-oiled machine in how they operate. They work with their creators because I'm on the creator-owned title. Like my titles are not ones that are owned, like by Mad Cave. I'm essentially an external partner. So for them, they kind of run all of their creators through the same marketing pipeline. So they make like trailers, they make social media posts. I work a lot with them in like events and like San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con, Emerald City, and all of these things. So they're very proactive about kind of marketing all of their titles. Uh, I like to also individually, just because of my big background and abilities, I like to invest in my own marketing as well. Because, a publisher in the end of the day has, especially someone like Mad Cave, they have multiple imprints, they have a lot of titles. I am not the only thing that they have to market, right? So they have to give everybody equal attention. And it's in my best interest as a creator to stand out as much as possible. And to do that as somebody who's coming in, like I've been in entertainment for a really long time, but not in comics in particular. So for me to come in as a creator, I wanted to make a splash. I wanted to be noticed both by publishers, by retailers, because there's a whole politics of how to get books onto the shelves. And a lot of the marketing work that creators do tend to really help the publisher with just getting more getting more pickups like from retailers, getting more press coverage. So I try to do whatever I can. And the same thing with my writing partner, Elliot. Whenever we do stuff together, we basically work on an entire marketing plan where one of the things that we realize is that a lot of the focus on our own marketing is less direct to the consumers or buyers, and it is more like B2B. It's more business to business. It is for brand awareness. It's for people to know that we exist. And that, of course, helps you get more retail adoption, yada, yada. So,
yeah, that's good. That's why we started this platform on this podcast was actually because I did a show of a books fest thing, the LA book show, and I noticed a lot of there were actually I was really happy to see a lot of readers there. You wonder if there were readers, but there's so many artists and so many authors that are out there that don't have any coverage because distributors will market you one time when you fit in their month and then you're done. So I wanted to start this so authors and artists and whatnot could come on and promote everything for free and let people know that their stuff's there. So you're welcome to come back anytime and promote your
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it's a great idea. I think it's something that more creators should be aware of, that they do have to do. Because I've met a lot of writers and creators who thought, I'm just going to, hand it. If I already work with a publisher, I'm just going to hand it to them and let them do the whole thing. It's their job to do it anyway. While that is true, publishers aren't, they don't have the marketing budgets of Disney. And they can't give everybody, even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to give everybody equal attention. So for good or bad, for better or worse, it does kind of fall a lot on the creators as well. And a lot of publishers are also not very good with marketing. Or
that's true.
haven't quite figured out how to handle it. Because honestly, marketing in comics is kind of an enigma. Nobody has truly figured it out. In terms of how to get your target audience, like the comic book buyers, to be aware of your work and pick it up. Like, as far as I can tell because I also do like the market analysis and essentially like try to understand like everything when I come in from a product perspective or from a marketing perspective. From what I could tell, actual sales really just comes down to, in the end of the day, if all other things are equal, if you're not like a celebrity and your brand sells itself, like it's how many shelves you manage to be on. It's simple as that. And that's already a challenge. But even retailers being aware of you becomes really critical. So showing up in these events, showing up on social media, like these things actually help with awareness that while it doesn't necessarily mean that you're directly getting to your buyers, you're getting to the people who are going to get you to your buyers. And that also has value. So it's just something that needs to be done. Unfortunately, it's part of the spiel.
Yeah, totally. Well, I love you've really set the bar higher for all of us with your trailers and marketing and everything. So let's roll the trailer on Edenfrost. There's so much tension in it. It's great.
This one was made by Mad Cave's team.
Oh,
Like the
really?
others were made by me. This was their trailer, and it was fantastic. It was one of the earlier ones that I saw them create, and I was really, really impressed. Like it's quite a thrill.
Yeah, it's great. Let's show the second piece on Edenfrost High. So this is the making of Edenfrost. Did you work on this? Did you direct this?
Yeah, so this is something that I actually did, and it's a whole series. Here, I'm basically showing an entire marketing pipeline that I did for a lot of the marketing assets for Edenfrost, and I made this whole series of videos that essentially show the making of process, like from like script to pencil to ink to color. Um, so these videos I essentially made um, in order to create a template,
Hmm.
right? That I can then extend into a lot of other marketing videos. So it was a lot about, like, you can kind of tell like it's different from what Mad Cave did, but it feels like it exists in the same
Oh yeah.
universe, not just because it uses the same assets. It's a lot about like the vibe and the tone. So I kind of created my own vibe over time just for my videos, but it still feels like it belongs to the same line. And a lot of this was actually purposeful. I didn't want my marketing to veer too far off from theirs so that it all feels cohesive. Like, I think a lot of
Hmm.
people assumed that the marketing materials that I did, because I did a lot more than they did, because I kind of market things over time.
Hmm.
And they only do it, up to product's release.
Right.
And I think a lot of people assumed, oh, the publisher just came in and made all of this for you. Oh my God. That was not the case, right?
That can happen. No.
That was essentially a lot of preparation on my part, knowing that it's a publisher treats every release as more of a sprint,
Hmm.
but I think for creators we need to treat our work as more of a marathon,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you need to continue marketing it over time, because again, you never know what opportunities will come out of that. So for me to be able to do that, I needed to develop concepts and tools that will allow me to continue marketing it in an interesting way over time,
Hmm.
that also becomes a portfolio piece for me as a marketer, because why not?
Right.
Worked on such a pipeline, and I kind of split it to both image based and video based marketing assets. And once you set up these like templates, it's a lot easier to just make
Sure.
more and more of them.
Sure. Now, are you hands-on in that? You do the graphic design yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great and it's interesting because people want to see that how comics are made. It's some people don't know how it's done. So it's really
Oh
interesting.
yeah. I mean, in the comic itself, I didn't make the art in the comic. I
No,
wrote the
I know.
comics.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, but as far as the marketing videos,
yeah.
absolutely. Because that's actually the background that I come from. I'm an animator, so I
Okay.
know how to do pre-production. I know how to draw, not as well as Bruno, like just next level. As a 2D animator, I feel ashamed to be even like in the same category of 2D
Yeah.
artist as him. But a lot of my advantage does come down to, I know video editing, I know audio editing, I know how to do special effects, I know how to do graphics, I know how to do UI. It's something that I've experienced with. So if you have that kind of unfair advantage, you just kind of use it.
Hmm.
Uh, for a lot of the marketing that appears on my social media, I use social media distribution platforms,
Hmm.
which is something I learned from other jobs, again, as a marketer. So you learn essentially how to do it at scale in a way that, if I had to take all of the posts that I do and manually publish each and every one of them, no one can do this. And while I was doing Edenfrost, I was also working in a full-time job that was extremely demanding. So in order to run essentially a campaign that would run for months and months, and is technically still running, I basically had to develop a way to pre-program it,
Hmm.
again, like a TV show,
Yeah.
and be able to optimize to when it's going to fall on which social media platform, to constantly like go like, I see that on this social media platform people respond more to videos or more to carousels, so I'm going to do more of that, and I'm going to drop it at these hours versus these hours. It's a whole thing.
Did you develop an app or do you use an app to do that?
No, I use existing tools. Like over the years, I got very used to using a lot of the Adobe
Uh-huh.
suite tools.
Uh-huh.
I'm used to a lot of the heavier tools like Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop, but now there are a lot of tools, even with Adobe, that are custom made for social media content production.
Mm.
And they are stripped down versions of a lot of their heavier tools, the ones that I was used to. So I, over time, simply transitioned completely out of a lot of the uh, heavier tools
Mhm.
and into tools that are specifically tailored for social media development. But I brought the same visual sensibilities and quality level to that production. So I think like from a consumer's point of view, like people can't tell, but I
Mhm.
can tell you that entire pipeline changed, and now I'm essentially using only two tools, one single one for production, one single one for distribution. Technically, I can use both of them for the same thing, but I'm just very particular in how I like my analytics.
Can you
But that's but
can you
that's
let us know the secret? What are these called?
yeah, it's common stuff. Like the Adobe Express is the tool that I specifically use for a lot of the production now, because it's kind of like a cut down version of Premiere, Photoshop, Animate. It's got a little bit of everything in a much more simplistic way, but
Mm-hmm.
it has a lot of templates that allow you to have just nice little shortcuts here and there. You can distribute directly to social media through there, but I use Hootsuite, which is a very common like social media management tool,
Okay.
simply because the level of optimization and analytics that they allow me to do is a lot more extensive. I like how to use their tools, but they're expensive.
Oh,
So there's
okay.
that. So there's
Okay.
that.
But you can schedule in advance.
Yeah, in both of them, even in Adobe Express, you can essentially do things within the program and then schedule them in advance and essentially build an entire programming schedule that, can serve you for as long as you can make it. I think the big trick is really building a set of templates
Uh-huh.
that allow you to create these things at scale, but also create a certain level of variation. It's still production, it's still work, but it's the difference between an entire ad agency doing something or an entire team or one person.
Right. But then also you have your branding that you can keep consistent so that
Yeah,
people will get the idea. They'll see all the variation, but they also see the branding,
exactly.
so it's nice, nostalgic.
Exactly. And that was actually really helpful because one of the ways of putting this entire pipeline to the test was when we went to the next title, Last Wardens. I was working with a partner, and that partner is working with me on a lot of my future books because I
Mhm.
have stuff that's coming out with like humanoids and with paper cuts. But for all of them, I wanted to have, like you said, this consistent brand, right?
Mhm.
That always you come with the expectation that it always comes with a certain marketing campaign and all of this, like whatever
Yeah.
innovation or interesting things to see. So bringing in somebody else, even though he's trained in the exact same, a lot of the same tools that I am, some stuff he wasn't as familiar with. So I had to kind of set up an entire pipeline and tell him like, I'm going to hand you these tools now. We're going to be able to build these together. But I've essentially handed him he had the template. So all of these things that I've made for Edenfrost, he now had. And I told him like, now we need to create a completely new visual look and personality for it for Last Wardens, which is
Mhm.
just very different intellectual property. So his job was really to set the foundation for how that new visual look looks like and iterate on everything that I've done so that both of us at that point can jump in and continue from there. So now we have the power of two people. And with Last Wardens, because we got to do so many like different media adaptations, it just became a much bigger thing. We've extended this marketing campaign really to its limit,
Mhm.
because we had to now market, a tabletop RPG and an audio drama with like celebrities involved. And so, but all of it really came from that same nugget. So in a sense, like you've added another person, you've added multiple products, all of these branches, but the system itself held. And we improved on it. It became more efficient, it became cleaner, it became leaner. So that's ideally what you want to do. Over time, you want to get better in it,
Mhm.
and knowing that if you have to grow it, it'll hold.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so Ty, why don't you run Last Warden and I love this. It's so great.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I could tell they had fun making this one.
Yeah. Well, the art, everything is in the writing, everything look in it looks good. It looks really interesting and fun.
It's a very it's a wild story and it's a wild world, and it might pull through in a very unique way.
Yeah, I love the art style. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's
So,
also another artist that they brought in. They brought in a different team. So like with Edenfrost, it was a much smaller team. It was just me, Bruno, who did art wise. I brought some of the designs, and he just kind of redid them in his own style. And with this team, they had Rui Silveira as the main artist. So he did everything from like, layouts all the way and character designs all the way to ink. And Francesco Segala, who did essentially all of the colors. And you always have lettering on top of it for both books. Taylor Esposito on Edenfrost and Frank Kvetkovich on The Last Wardens. So you get a very, very different look because while the creator or the creators can be the same people, you just get a different team of artists and interpret it in their own ways.
yeah, it's great. Let's roll the you made a audio. What do you
Oh
want to
yeah.
call it? Let's roll that. It's really interesting.
So this is I can give a little background on it before we jump in because this is an interesting thing. So after the comic was announced, I I did a big push to try and get Elliot and me. Elliot is the co-creator, Elliot Sperl.
Hmm.
I tried to do a big push to get our IP to other mediums because it's been such a big part of my career. Like I've worked in games, I've worked in television, in new media. I wanted to grow the story itself to other mediums as a really interesting experiment because it's something that we wanted to do over time in the future as well with other projects. And without getting into all the nitty and gritty, we ended up getting a few adaptations. This one specifically is an audio drama, so it's more like old-fashioned 1950s radio play, just very, very modern. And it was produced by Encyclopocalypse Publications, and it kind of grew into becoming a much bigger thing after it started happening. Because Felicia Day joined in, and then Mark Meir joined in, and Anjali Bhimani, we just ended up building this like really amazing cast
Hmm.
who were also very, very kind in allowing us to market this thing with their help. And
Hmm.
they've been very proactive about it. And that has honestly been, as a creator, kind of a dream come true. It's
Wow,
it's
that's
a
awesome.
really it's been a really fun experience. But me and Elliot have rewritten essentially like the comic series as an audio drama because it's a very different kind of challenge. So
Mhm.
in addition to having an entire marketing campaign similar to Edenfrost's, we had to develop a marketing campaign for The Last Wardens, the comic. But then once we had the audio drama, now we also had to market that. And while we needed to maintain the visual identity, the nature of marketing in audio drama is just different. It is more about the sound, it is more about the voice, and definitely about the cast, because it's one of the things that you're marketing to the consumers. A lot of them have their own fan base already. So that's the task that I gave Elliot. I was like, you're gonna use these tools, and we're gonna, like get all of these, like the producer that ran this entire production, Mark Miller. I tasked him with like, hey, we need footage from all of the actors, if they're willing to give us that, of them recording some of these lines, and we're going to incorporate that into essentially an entire marketing campaign. And once again, they all signed up for it, and they all did an incredible job.
Nice.
So we incorporated what they gave us into this campaign and really spotlighted them and their work. And that was the way what you're about to see came to life.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, let's roll it.
Ah, yada, yada, yada. There she goes again, blathering and questioning. Have you no shame?
Your brother was exposed to a drift. He's an untamable aberration.
Why do I feel like I'm always just one step away from getting crushed to death by something?
Oh, hey! Look who came crawling back! What's wrong, princess? Solo act went to shit?
Oh yeah? Well, if I die, you'd be royally screwed.
Vanity.
Aslan مشكلة. Damn it, Layla, just follow my lead.
Give it a rest, lady. Best case scenario, anyone up there is already dead.
So, will you grace us with your presence tonight, Miss Pryor? Selling used books to folks who barely read the paper is a grind, so knowing I'll have at least one real customer would be nice.
Well, that's really cool. Really cool. Good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. And then Elliot did a really good job again adapting essentially that you can see a lot of the structure, right?
Yeah,
From like
yeah.
plus videos and how that kind of like so that has proven to be a really fun methodology that now we're going to continue using in a lot of different ways. We're also doing a lot of image-based stuff, but I feel like the video stuff is always the most fun to show.
Yeah, definitely. That's so great. And so you distribute that on Spotify and all the other platforms?
Yeah, so this one was specifically like the comic book publisher Mad Cave doesn't have anything to do with this. It's a different company, so the publisher is Encyclopocalypse Publication. What they do is audiobooks, and they actually signed a distribution deal with Athon Books, who do a lot of sci-fi fantasy books, and they have an entire audio business. And they have deals with Spotify, with Audible. So they got us featured on a whole bunch of platforms. And they're essentially handling distribution across everything. So they put it on Spotify, I think like on Apple, on, like everything.
Sure.
Audible.
That's great. Well, it's really awesome to talk to you, and I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
see what else you're working on. So you have to come on again and talk to us about your next project.
I would be happy to.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.